Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
Craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast.
Hello, Achievers. This is episode 31 of the Next Level Author Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level up our author business. My name is Sacha Black, and here with me every single week is...
That sounded painful. Daniel Wilcox.
Well, sometimes talking to you is. No, I'm joking.
Well, if that was the case, then why were we doing it 7 days a goddamn week?
I know.
And just for people on YouTube, I'll quickly acknowledge that I have flipped where I am in my room because I am with child this week, because it's half term in the UK. But he'll be fine. He might make an appearance. We'll see. Yes,
it will be a super fun episode if he does. Also, let's try and make Dan swear. No, I'm joking. Let's not make him do that.
Literally, the first thing I was like, oh, it's going to be weird because I'm not allowed to this week. And then people will be like, because considering last week, I was very, very, very sweary.
You were sweary last week. Okay, let's check in. How are you?
I am. How are you?
Wow, that good. Hey.
Yeah, I don't know. I am. So in terms of things that are happening and things that have been done this week, I have, as per usual, done a lot. I have some super exciting things coming up that have been confirmed this week, including a couple of podcast guests who I've been trying to get onto my radar for a while, and some bits maybe we'll go into in a little bit. But yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff. But we met up on Tuesday and we had like a strategy day in the afternoon and like worked out plans of what we're going to be doing next year for world domination and stuff. And I think it's just a general sense of overwhelm now that my move's getting a bit closer. I've had a couple of days this week where I just felt exhausted, but I had to power through. And weirdly, yesterday and today, I've kind of taken it a bit easier. I've still worked, but I think mentally I've just allowed myself to relax a little bit, and that's helped a lot.
Funny that.
Yeah, I know, it's strange. But I think the strategy day helped because you get into points where you just get flustered with the amount of stuff that you've got, and sometimes those threads can get loose quite easily. And pulling them back in, you just need those moments to stop and just go, okay, let's reassemble, bring everything back, and then you have a bit of a clearer image in your head. And I think that's what needed to happen.
Yeah, I think we need to make them a quarterly thing because
I think we need to make them a daily thing.
Gosh, can't have any more of you in my life. I think quarterly, like a quarterly meetup to do that is necessary because it also made a huge difference to me. I think I walked away like really surprised that I could more or less take the school summer holidays off and Christmas off and still get all of the stuff that I wanted to do. Well, almost all of the stuff that I wanted to do.
With leeway.
Yes.
With even more leeway than just the holidays.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it does mean I need to be super tight and focused, but what it also did was perhaps the opposite effect of what you wanted. But what it made me do was go, oh, look, I can do all of this in this much time and I have this much leeway. What if I just did a bit more? So although the whole purpose of the exercise was to stop me doing loads, it's definitely put the wind up my arse a bit, I think, because now I'm like, well, there's still 2 months left of this year. And if I can do X, Y, and Z by here, then I could, there's some financial goals that I want to hit. So yeah, I've sort of pulled a few things forward, but also, I don't know, it's done 50-50 to me. It's made me realize that actually I can plan time in to rest, and also made me go, I can do more than I think I can do, even with restricted time because of COVID and all of that other nonsense. So yeah, I woke up really pumped today, but I've had time, like I've been like, in terms of strengths, I've been intellecting on it with, just thinking about it, like letting it process. And I think the achiever inside me is definitely not okay with not doing a little bit more, but also I'm okay with blocking out holiday time and stuff because I haven't had a break this year. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think it, like you say, it serves two purposes. So it's not necessarily meant to be like this is what you're doing. It's just creating that awareness of how all the different components like fit together. Because I know that I'm a sucker for just focusing on like one thing particularly and forgetting everything else and where it should fit in terms of like timelines and managing it all around. And like like this month I've had 3 launches within the space of what, like 1.5 weeks, which all just happened at once because I didn't really plan it very well. So similarly for me, it's a case of, even I think the one thing for me, even if I do move a lot of sort of the production stuff around on my calendar, because we've got very similar looking calendars now, even if we move a lot of stuff around in terms of production, I think generally the launches are probably going to stay where they are, because that gives plenty of time to then market and just, you know, not have to keep speeding out these launches and not really having time to do as much marketing as I want to.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me, is that I want the time. The reason it was so helpful to me is to look at where those launches are and to go, well, actually, no, I want more time before that launch because I want to be more deliberative and more intentional about the marketing. And so, yeah, I'm like fired up by having a plan and a goal. And I now want to translate that into like a content marketing plan and stuff. But yeah, anyway, also it helps that my mum has had Atlas for several days this week, so I have actually been able to get work done, and you know, so instead of working like 6-hour days, I've been working like 9.5-hour days, sometimes a bit more, and yet also I just sat down on the sofa last night and read most of a book, and you know, so I have also rested and taken time. And yeah, I think this is the longest I've had away from Atlas in 9 months, maybe a bit more. Yeah, no, maybe this year, this whole year. So what's that? Yeah, 10 months. What month is it? We're nearly in November. Yeah. And possibly ever, actually, because I don't think he's ever done. So Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, 4 nights. No, I think he's done this once before with my mum. But yeah, anyway, so it's been a really nice break, and I really want him back now.
That's good that you get to that point though, isn't it? Like sometimes you just need, it's that whole what's the like, you could, it's not this, my mind's blanking, you can't absence makes the heart grow fonder. There we go.
Exactly.
That's so hard. This is where I'm at. I'm just go on, carry on.
Okay, so we've done our check-in. Right, success of the week. So we mentioned Brett last week, didn't we? And there was another success of the week.
It was Faye last week.
Oh, it was Faye last week. Oh wait, did we mention Brett as well then?
We did the week before.
Oh, fuck, I miss a lie.
And this week's level up was Jackie Reuter, who says that she is now earning half of what she makes as a teacher from editing. Plus, she talked to her boss about working half-time next year. She keeps up this pace, she could quit teaching much sooner than she thought, which is super exciting.
That is exciting. Like that moment where...
That's big as well. You don't often get that.
No, you don't. And I think that moment where you realize that you are capable of earning enough to cover like bills and cut work time down, I think is a real shift. Like it's a shift, obviously financially, but it's also a shift mindset, because I think it's empowering. There's like it's a bit chicken and egg, but you know, you have to believe in order to be able to get to the point where you have created money and income and products and books. But also in doing that, and you reach a certain level, it then kicks you up your mindset, another level of belief, if that makes sense. I know, I mean. Struggling.
It's like it's the whole 4-minute mile thing. Once you know it can be achieved, you do.
Exactly.
But you have to see it in order for it to click.
That's it, exactly. So yeah, I'm like super pleased for her, and I think that's amazing. And yeah, massive congratulations.
Congrats.
Patreons.
Yes, so we have 3 new patrons this week. So a big thank you to Caitlin Duncan, Lucy Mitchell, and Laura Kendrick for joining the Patreon family. And we've just sent out the invitation and the date for our first NLA live Q&A, which is going to be on the 9th of October. So if anyone wants to get involved for an hour just with us and ask questions, then head on over to www.patreon.com/nextlevelauthors. And there's some other goodies in there as well.
And to be clear, this is like a proper Zoom, isn't it? So it's like this, like what we're doing now. So everybody will be on screen and you will actually be able to like real time see us and talk to us. It is not
like real people.
Yeah, it's not a live stream like where you can only put comments in. You will be able to talk and interact with us. So yeah, don't be scared.
Scary.
We only bite on Tuesdays.
I'll be honest, like I love everyone who's coming. I am nervous because it'll be the first one that I've done. Like that. So be gentle, guys, please.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So what have you enjoyed this week?
I'm going to say I very much enjoyed the live Zoom call that Zach Bohannon and Jay Thorne did for the Career Author Send-Off episode number 150. I don't know why I said that so weird. Episode 150. It was just, I don't know. It was strange because I said it in the call as well because they, you know, answered questions from people. They gave people a chance to ask questions live there on the spot. And one of the things that I mentioned was that I remember when I was still working full time listening to the Career Author, and you know, I'd written a book with Jay at that point. Like I was familiar with Zach and I'd spoken to him a few times about stuff, and like I watched their journey as they went from working full time into becoming full time writers. And I remember when they launched the podcast, just thinking, oh, it's going to be forever until I can in any way be in that position. And then it's already 3 years later and the podcast is ending. And it's just, I don't know, it's one of those bittersweet things where it's like, it's great to see everyone's progress, but at the same time, it's like, where does the time go?
I know, time is a lie. There's some very strange time anomalies going on right now.
This
like
year is going to mess up everything.
Yeah, like for sure. I also don't understand, like this year I've written more books than I've written in a really long time. And yet I thought I'd done nothing. And I don't know how I've done that because I've had like 50% less time to work. And yet I've still managed to do that. So time is a lie. I don't know. Time is a lie. That's the end of the conversation. All right. The thing I've enjoyed this week is Nail Your Novel, writing characters who will keep readers captivated by Roz Morris. And Roz is going to come on my podcast to talk about this soon in the new year. And I almost read the whole thing last night. So yeah, I binge read that. It's been really good. So yeah, highly recommend that.
Can I add two more super quick things?
Yes.
Number one, thank you, Sacha Black, for sending me a book today that I'm going to be diving into. The Gold Apples, which I'm excited to read because I want to know what the thinking is behind it, and I'm intrigued.
It's because you're a gold apple, boo.
Oh, how cute. And a sweet pass that one before people realize you're a nice person. And number two, I've not listened to it yet, but I know it's going to be a cracker, is Janet Murray on the Rebel Author podcast. Not yet checked it out, but I'm definitely going to.
Oh my God, I am so such a fangirl of Janet at the moment. It's unbelievable. Like, I'm so excited for the fact that I'm talking in part of our conference. Also, can we just have a second to talk about the seriously large amount of imposter syndrome that I am feeling? When I see people commenting, I'm trying not to sick in the back of my mouth a little bit because I'm seeing people comment and stuff in the Facebook group, and I'm just the caliber of speakers that she has got. When you see their
including Sacha Black.
Oh, stop it.
Megastar.
Oh, shut up. I've been seeing their bios or whatever. Oh, 7-figure this and blah blah blah, and I'm just like, fuck. It's not. I don't know how it ended. Someone's gonna notice I accidentally snuck in the back door.
No, you'll smash it. You'll get it.
Okay, a weekly confessional. You're gonna have to read the things. Also, I need to proofread all of the weekly confessionals when you do them because you fuck about with the wording.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
I just take what you've said and I put it into words.
You lie. Just read them out.
I don't know that I do. Okay, so this week, and we'll start with you, Sacha will restore herself with lots of thinking and resting.
Yes, well, I did. I worked really hard as well, but I did take whole evenings off, and I even sent you pictures of me on this. I know, on the sofa and on the floor reading and stuff. And I definitely did the thinking after our away day. So that has really helped. And I think that's why I'm so pumped this morning. So tick for me.
Easy done. No forfeit. Boo-hoo. Dan will edit when winter comes 6, keep up with his production schedule, and finish another package for his coaching. I remember reaching out to you on Monday and going, what have I done? Why have I said these things?
Have you hit them?
Because then it was also a case of I had to read something for a friend as well on top of that. And then I forgot it was half term this week. So today and yesterday I've also had my son.
Is this you telling me that you haven't completed?
I don't know. What do you think, Sacha?
Well, you better talk through where you're at with everything, hadn't you, Daniel?
So I have edited When Winter Comes 6 as of first thing this morning. I have kept up with my production schedule. And I have completed the 3rd package because I'm happy to say that I have my first guinea pig client.
Oh my God, you lucky son of a bitch. You are a machine.
It's been.
I really thought I had you this week.
It's been a week, because then there was also the case of like, obviously most of Tuesday afternoon was written off with strategy stuff. So, and then Tuesday nearly took me out through Wednesday because it was so heavy in terms of like thinking power.
I know, we just brutalized each other.
Oh man, we were really brutal with each other. Like,
we were brutal.
Yeah.
But and yeah, you were like, oh, you don't know it's going to be brutal. I was like, bitch, please, you know it's going to be a brutal day.
I clawed through by the skin of my teeth. So just about there we go.
Yeah, so, wow, you get away with it for another week. Comments.
Sorry, I just need a minute.
Why do you need a minute? What's happening?
Just to recover over the last week. Okay, so comments to the question, how do you know whether you're being busy or whether you're being productive? Yanni Jade says, I've really struggled lately to be productive in my eyes. I'm always doing something. So I'm busy, but I'm just not seeing any progress from it, which is frustrating. You could say I've been in a bit of a funk and I'm starting to work my way out of it. And I think that's one of the key things that I was kind of alluding to last week, was like those moments where you feel like you're working, but then you don't see the progress. Like, I don't know, because you can spin your wheels on projects that don't really actually like benefit you in many ways, but you feel like you have to do them. And I guess that comes back to sort of like your admin comments as well.
I think it's also really hard before you've actually published a book, because once you have a physical thing in your hand, you can see what it is that you've done. Up until that point, like, yes, you are hitting checkpoints, you're completing the draft, you're completing this and that and the other. But until you actually have the thing, it's, you know, it's hard to say. I just, you know, once you've got past the completed finish line, it is much more tangible. I always struggle with those like milestone markers.
Yeah, for sure. Meg says, what were we on when we recorded the last episode? I don't know. Life, high on life. It's very easy to lapse into being busy, plenty of tasks masqueraded as important when really they clutter your schedule and still your energy and focus. I always keep in mind, does this fulfill my why, which I think is very, very important to like know your motivation and what it's all leading to. Lucy Mitchell says, another great episode. I am normally busy with the wrong things. I mean, the things which are not going to drive my author work forward. Over the years, Sacha has frequently pointed out to me that I need to be busy on the right things. Now I am busy on my next novel, which feels right. Booyah. That's always a step forward. Caitlin says, this was so fun to listen to. I love when you two break down laughing, which, you know, happens far too much. Productive for me is completing tasks towards my quarterly goals and admin with my author business. I don't tend to do busy work since I have a limited time a day to work on my business. Holly says, I feel so called out. I constantly feel as though I'm being busy rather than productive. The majority of my working time these days is on trying to run the business rather than creating. In fact, for most of this month, I haven't written at all, but that's part and parcel of deciding the launch of 4 books in 8 weeks. It seems heavy. Keep going, Holly. I've been watching you. It seems like it's going well, so keep pushing.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone else, for coming.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I haven't got to you this week, but
I'm finished.
Oh,
good job, buddy.
Oh, so cute. Yeah. So okay, right. We don't have a huge amount of time this week, so I'm going to rapid fire this question at you. And I'm hoping that you can draw up enough memories
What is going on?
answer this. But yeah, so I'm gonna just give a bit of a quick preamble just to say that for anybody listening now who doesn't like spoilers, then maybe don't listen to the rest of this question. So my question to you is, in your history since you first engaged with story in any medium, be it books, audio, film, whatever, theatre, what are the stories that have had the biggest impact on you and why?
Oh, we just need to hold it.
Yeah, just there we go, all done. So out of all the stories that I've ever listened to, what are the ones that have had the biggest impact on me and why?
Not necessarily listened to, but read, engaged with, watched. I almost prepared you for this because I thought it would be a hard question. Like, it's one of those things that you have to sort of think about a bit, I think.
So how did you prepare me?
Well, no, I said I almost prepared you. And then I was
okay.
like, no, I'll be a mean bitch and just spring it on him.
So I definitely like underdog stories, and I've been really, really drawn towards real world stories of underdog success. So like I feel that jump to mind, like if we're getting really, really far into fiction wise, Lord of the Rings, massive. Just I remember watching Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King at the cinema, and just it's one of those films that I was so absorbed in, and you just really feel like the pull of every emotion, like the journey of Frodo and Sam and Aragorn and Gandalf and Legolas, like the whole lot just like pushing towards the end, and this like massive climactic build up, and this whole good versus evil thing where that adaptation, the Peter Jackson adaptation, really, really, I don't know, it just made the world seem real, and I just love the whole good versus evil thing, and the world is so rich, the world is so colorful, the world is so well built. The world is so well built that you can just fall into it and get lost. And that's kind of like fiction wise. In terms of just other stories, 2 seconds.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the intermission.
So like a couple that jump out at me. Number one, The Social Network. I do not know what it is about that film. There is something that I could just watch that on repeat endlessly because it's real. It's the growth. It's like shows the journey of like, not really a nobody because he went to Harvard for God's sake, but like just a normal person and how they excel and build this massive like empire. Films like, I'm trying to think of like other books and stuff. I think generally the big journeys or the big stories that stick with me are the ones that are real, the ones that are sort of grounded in the real world and show successes. Like I said the other day about or a couple of weeks ago about that band that I was following that have been on YouTube, and they documented from when they started really, really early, just playing guitar and messing around, and now they're like traveling the globe and doing all these gigs and still friends and all that kind of stuff. And I think I don't know if it's just an easy way to answer it, but it's the ones where it's like real people, real emotions, or as close to sort of those real dynamics as you can get, and it's all about overcoming obstacles or just growing and achieving your dreams.
Interesting. Okay. I wasn't sure what angle you would come at, but I love that you've come at it from like the motivational type, inspirational angle.
I seek that feeling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the older I get, I think the harder it is to find that feeling. But when you're younger, it's almost like when you come out of a superhero film and you feel like you could be a superhero. But obviously as you get older, you realize the sort of fictionality in those stories, and like you can't fly, but you can, like you can do good in the world. You can get better than you were. You can offer something back. And I don't know, like this is the first time I think I've ever formally thought about it like this, but that's generally like I live for that feeling of finishing watching something and just feeling inspired. Like I've been watching a load of the My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman on Netflix, because it's just all real people, real stories, real struggles, real just like genuine authentic narratives. And it's that stuff that I come out and I'm just like, it just gives me strength to know that other people are doing it.
I like that.
That's really corny.
A little bit, but I'll allow it. Okay, so so for me, the things that leave the most lasting effect, I think, are the ones that provoke thought. in me. So I have a few examples. The first one that totally and utterly blew my brains out was The Matrix, because I had never encountered such a revolutionary idea, a concept that was so frighteningly real and could be a possibility, that I mean, I was really jarred for a while. Like, I think I was 15, so I was at a very impressionable age as well, and it just opened this whole world of possibilities and fantasy ideas and like concepts. And I was just like, I mean, I actually couldn't tell you how many times I've watched that film. I mean, hundreds of times. I probably know every word in the film off by heart. So that was probably a film that had the biggest impact. In terms of stories, so Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham was the very first book that introduced fantasy and science fiction to me in a way that I guess it was, I wished I could have come up with that. So I got to the end of that book and I was quite young when I read it. I was definitely still a teenager, and I was just blown away I was blown away and terrified, and I felt all of the things, and it made me think, like, what if GM foods turned into, or whatever, all of this modification and scientific research that we were doing. And so it made me think and go down this rabbit warren of like ideas and research and stuff. So and that book has always, that's all, I've never read it again, but it has always stayed with me, just because of like the shock factor of how it made me feel. Another book, and there will be a spoiler here. So the book that probably had the most significant nudge into writing was Divergent. So I binge read the whole series. It's a young adult dystopian series called Divergent by Veronica Roth. And spoiler alert, in 3, 2, 1, the protagonist dies. Okay. And yeah, I spent 1,000 pages reading this series, and the last chapter, or the last couple of chapters, is from the love interest's point of view, and I was fucking furious. I was absolutely livid, because how dare you make me love this character for 3 books, or whatever it was, 4 books, and then take them away. And I was so shocked. I didn't actually believe the character was dead. So I read on the next chapter going, well, when's she coming back? Like, this is weird. And then like I got to the end of the chapter and was like, wait, what? And so I had to go back 2 chapters and read again, because it was such a shock that I hadn't been set up to feel that. Like, sometimes you are set up to know that a character's going to die, and so therefore it's okay. And so I was furious, and genuinely, that's what made me start writing, because I was like, there must be a way to write a better series than killing off the characters so that you can't go back and write, you have to go into the world again or whatever. So that was one, like, rage basically drove me to writing. So that was another one that had such a huge impact. But what it did was it made me think about like why I was cross, and what it was. I was thinking about like the craft of the story, and it got me thinking about what was okay for authors to do to readers, and all of this kind of stuff. So again, it's the type of stories that make me think. And yeah, so, and I suppose the last one, the most recent one, was probably The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, and she helped me level up my craft, I would say, because I fell in love with her prose and her unique way of describing characters. And it was so gorgeous and mildly indulgent and on the borderline of being too much, but it wasn't. She kept it just under that line. And so it was just sumptuously delicious. And I learnt loads from it. And again, it made me think about craft and characterization and voice and all of those things. So yeah, I wanted to know like the things that have had, and those stories are the ones that I still think about to this day. Like, I still consider doing a reread, or I still consider, because I don't really reread, but yeah, I consider the they're just things that will never leave me. Those authors and filmmakers have left such a mark on me that I will take those into my old age, and I will continue to think about them forever. And what better of a job have these creators done than to do that to somebody? And I think it's amazing. They job well fucking done, essentially.
It's very interesting to me that the ones that are like jumping up into my head are like ones that have, because I think I use a lot of like fiction for entertainment. So bless you. So I obviously like read a lot of horror and stuff. And there's a lot of horror stories that stick around to me. But in terms of ones that I would argue impacted my life, they're not often sort of like horror stories and stuff. And like as you were talking, one like it's films that have been coming back to me, like 27. What's the one where the guy's arm gets stuck in the boulder? 27 hours. Yeah. 127 hours.
127 hours. Yeah.
£7, Coach Carter, The Pursuit of Happiness, like all these ones that are bounded and based off of like real life stories are the ones that really like pull at my heartstrings and just like motivate me. And it's interesting as well what you said about the Divergent series and how it like, because that's a perfect example of how there are these inbuilt expectations, and if it's not delivered, then you just destroy it for the reader. Like I was massively into a series which, spoiler alert, because also you're reading the first book of this with me at some point, as agreed, is The Painted Man by Peter V. Brett.
Yeah.
And The Painted Man, the first book is fantastic. It's like 500-600 pages of fantasy. It's
Could you
brilliant.
try not to spoil it for me?
Okay, I won't give like any story spoilers. But basically the first book is about a particular character's journey. The sequel, which I then read, is the same sort of length, 600 pages, but the first 350, 400 pages are a completely different character we've never met in a different part of that world. And although later it kind of pays off in terms of like tying them together, I was reading it going, I don't want to read about this person. I've just dedicated 600 pages to this other character, and now you're introducing this guy to me, and it just felt like a big waste of time. And for me personally, it didn't really deliver, but the first book is phenomenal.
Okay, we need to wrap this up.
Yes.
So how are we leveling up our business this week?
I am running a boot camp. So I will be, So I'll be kicking some writers' butts in shape and getting some words on the page, and dragging people across through the NaNoWriMo journey. And within that, I've just basically got to keep up with my own production schedule in terms of my ghostwriting, and I'll be working on the productivity non-fic as well.
Awesome. I will be working on two things this week. I will be working on editing Trey, and I will be working on drafting side characters.
Yeah, you will.
And that's it. I'm not going to add anything else. I'm going to be working on those two things as part of NaNoWriMo.
I mean, for some people, that's quite a lot, but that's fine.
Yes, but we do this full time, remember?
We do.
Okay. So audience question of the week then is, what are the stories in any medium that have had the biggest impact on your lives? And we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Great Writers Share podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
and Sacha
become
next level
authors.
Rolo. Yep, Rolo. YOLO? Whatever.
Rolo.